Thank you for joining us for Public Safety Echo. The Public Safety Echo project is the world's first of its kind effort to use the Echo model to address safety issues by bringing residents, workers, and businesses together in an online, social, and professional space to share skills, increase knowledge, and solve problems. In weekly sessions, Public Safety Echo teaches skills, educates partners in different aspects of a healthy community, and empowers community members.
Welcome to the Downtown Public Safety Echo. I am Officer Richard Cedillo with the Albuquerque Police Department, the downtown team. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. As you know, I used to be hosting a lot of these, but I've taken a sabbatical for a little bit, give other people a chance. So I am back, unfortunately for you guys. But enough about me. I'll let my person next to me introduce himself.
I'm Officer Zamora. I'm a recruit officer. This is my second phase. So I've been with Officer Cedillo here for 3 weeks now. I'm new to the department. I just graduated the academy about 2.5 months ago. So this is my first time ever doing one of these. So this is exciting.
I imagine it's your first time for a lot of stuff, especially hanging out with Rich.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you. And we'll let our guests introduce themselves.
Awesome, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Glenn St.Onge. I'm the Executive Director for the Domestic Violence Resource Center.
It's good to have you, Glenn. And then we'll move on to the folks in our audience here. Ladies
Hi.
first.
My name is Markella Clinton. I'm one of the field representatives for the mayor's office.
Glad to have you.
Glad to have you, Markel.
Thank you.
I'm Jerry Bowe. I live in the Dessort District downtown. I'm a former transit analyst for the Rail Runner, and now I'm on the board of the Prostate Cancer Support Association in Mexico.
Nice having you today.
Yeah, always good. All right, and then we can move on to those on our call today. And how about I start with you, Laura?
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Laura Keene, Senior Crime Prevention Specialist with the Albuquerque Police Department.
Hey, Laura.
Hey. And our friend Betty Lou.
Betty Lou from Downtown Sub.
Hi everyone, I'm Betty Lou Chavez. I'm the Senior Admin for the Downtown Public Safety District, and I'm happy to be here.
Always good to have you. I see Adrienne Helms.
Hi, glad to be here. Nice to see everybody. My name's Adrienne. I'm the Clery Coordinator at UNM. I work in the Office of Compliance, Ethics, and Equal Opportunity.
Nice to have you.
Great. And I see Jenny from ACS.
Hi, I am Jenny Carey, and I'm one of the Field Ops Program Managers with Albuquerque Community Safety. I also have our Homeless Administrator Liaison, Jen Martinez, here with me.
Nice to have you, Jenny.
Hey.
Hey, Jen, what's going on?
Yeah, nice.
Hey.
All right, we got a double bill. All right. And then we got my friend Rodney.
Good afternoon, everybody. Rodney Bowe, Campus Safety Watch Coordinator with the UNM Police Department.
Great.
Hey, Rodney, nice to have you.
Nice being here.
All right, and then I see Brittany.
Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Martinez. I'm the Valley Area Command Crime Prevention Specialist.
Hey,
All
Brittany.
right, thanks for joining us. And then I see Chief Ortiz.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Chris Ortiz. I'm the EMS Division Chief for Albuquerque Fire Rescue.
Great, thanks
Nice
for
to have
having
you,
us.
Chris.
And then Laura Chavez. Unmute there, Laura. There we go. Yes, now we got you.
Sorry about that. Laura Chavez, I'm with the Criminal Investigations Division here with Albuquerque Police Department. Glad to be here today.
Glad to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I see our friend Michael Kelleher.
Hi, Darren. Thanks for doing this. I represent the Guadalupe Institute, which is the word esoteric is kind of a weird word, but it's what you know about the subject. The cultural opportunity to study dialogue and celebrate the Constitution. So any message, any item is open for discussion. We don't have an advocacy. It's no political agenda. It's not religious, but has religious connotations. We have a building, leased a building down at 5th and Lead, 2319 5th Street Southwest, across from the county headquarters and the Social Security. And so we're able to give small grants, particularly because of the parking lot that's there. And the parking is used by the people come down, a lot of them Social Security. So at any rate, I have a question that maybe is going to be debated about domestic violence. I'm a retired lawyer. I practiced for a year. I did, divorces and some domestic issues. And so is there a distinction in a domestic issue matter between a married couple and just a one-night stand issue that goes haywire? So that's my question, perhaps to be kicked around a little bit.
Okay, well, remember that question. We'll circle back to it as we get through the introduction.
Glenn will be able to answer that.
But yeah, I'm sure Glenn will be able to answer that for us.
Thank you.
Indeed, always good to have you. And then Commander Witten. There we go.
Good afternoon. I'm Deputy Commander Richard Witten, the downtown unit. I'm just here to make sure, to support Officer Cedillo and the group in their...
he's right here. He showed up.
in their presentation here. I know he's going to do a great job. He's been in the department for a lot longer than most, probably one of the longest officers, so he has a lot of experience to draw on. So
thanks, boss.
I'm just here. Yep, got you.
All right, keeping an eye on both of us there. All right, so, and then we also see Kathia.
Hey, let me figure out which camera I'm on.
We can almost see you. There we
There
go.
we go.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Kathy.
I'm Kathy Moon. I'm the crime analyst at UNM, so nice to be here.
Nice.
Glad to have you. Yeah. And I have our friend Raina.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, no camera today. I'm not in my usual location, but I am a program coordinator with UNM's Department of Psychiatry, Division of Community Behavioral Health, and happy to be here as always.
Great.
Hey, Raina, thanks. Nice to have you.
Always good. And then Rebecca Weatherford.
Hi, Rebecca Weatherford, Process Improvement Analyst with APD.
Thank you for joining us, Rebecca. And then our friend Brandon Estrada.
Good afternoon, everybody. Brandon Estrada. Oops. Good afternoon, everybody. Brandon Estrada with Peak Behavioral Health, Business Development Manager.
All right, thanks for
Hey,
joining
Brandon.
us. Lately, you haven't been joining from a car. It's odd to see you in an office.
No. Yeah, right. Not on the road as much, but glad to be here.
All right, always good to have you. And then last but certainly not least, I see Jeremy Kaiser.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeremy Kaiser. I'm the Deputy Director for Planning, so I oversee one of the areas oversees code enforcement.
Always
Jeremy.
good to have you. And then I was just going to make a quick sort of announcement. Oh, we have one
Yeah,
more
one more came
person.
in.
Hey, Kelly snuck in. Kelly in the audience there.
How's it going, everyone? Kelly Mensah from the Community Policing Council.
Nice to have you, Kelly.
Thank you.
So as I was saying, I was just going to announce that these introductions, I think, are always a interesting part of our session and have been part of the ECHO since the beginning. But because I'm sort of shortening them in the future, we're going to find some other ways, hopefully, for people to just enter their information into a registration so we compile that data and can get down to the idea of presenting stuff a little more rapidly. I really do enjoy going through the introductions, but we're going to try something different in the future. So I was just letting everyone know next time we may just sort of jump into who's here in the studio and then move on to the presentations. But I wanted to open the floor for announcements real quick.
Okay. Let's please turn your camera on. ECHO is all about all teach, all learn, and we hope to plan to participate fully. Please take a minute to type your name, organization, and email in the chat, especially if you don't have a camera or mic. Please update your name, display on Zoom. Daryl can help if you need it. Be sure your mic is muted until you are ready to speak. If you're calling in, you can use a #6 to control your mute. The downtown public safety ECHO goal is to increase safety by bringing residents, workers, visitors, and businesses together in an online social space to share skills, increase knowledge, and solve problems. Any views expressed by police officers or participating city officials are not meant to give legal advice and are only meant to educate or provide insight into the discussion. Today's presentation will be with Domestic Violence Resource Center, presented by Executive Director Glenn St.Onge. Glenn St.Onge is a retired officer with the Albuquerque Police Department, who I do know very well. Off topic, sorry.
It's not off topic. Yeah.
Case, how do I report domestic violence? This is a reminder, please identify yourselves before speaking and raise your hands either on screen or hit the raise hand option. We'll be keeping an eye out for you. Don't hesitate to chat your questions to the group as well. Also to be keeping an eye out for those as well. If we miss you, please speak up.
All right. I was going to ask, Rich, do you know of anything going on downtown with the downtown unit?
Well, so obviously they got First Street underneath the underpass at the tracks closed, the eastbound traffic, just to let everybody know. I know you probably already know if you're downtown.
I just found out yesterday when I tried to go into that.
So this is for someone like Daryl. You're gonna have to go north on First Street in order to come back out on MLK, where the MLK Memorial is.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I can't think of anything else that's really going on downtown.
Yeah.
Other than the Growers Market on Saturday.
Yep.
And the rail yards on Sunday.
Yep. Always nice. Anyone else on the Zoom have anything to announce? You can just shout it out or raise your hand. Chief Ortiz, ACS, anybody?
Anybody have questions about what's going on specifically that maybe I can help with the downtown?
Downtown. Jerry was mentioning some changes with a lot of the traffic that's going on. Have you?
Yes.
Have you noticed any accidents or anything? Because I realize it's a little dangerous having some of that change.
So if you guys are aware of what goes on downtown, you know that we experiment a lot with the one-ways and the stop signs. And that's what they're going through right now. I'm assuming it's just to see if we could get
better flow somehow?
Better flow. It's,
okay.
Yeah. And once you get used to it, you are fine with it.
Well,
just bear with it and see if it works.
Yeah, we were just discussing some of the stoplights that are stoplights, and then the next day they're actual stop signs, and then so.
And that is true. Just look for the red flashing lights.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people are used to the light itself, and they see a red flashing light, and they might stop when they just need to stop for a brief moment.
Yeah.
So just look out for that. Just be more aware.
And the other thing is a change that's coming to Copper and 8. In 2 weeks, they start the project to make it a four-way intersection. Historically, because I worked on the corner there for years, there have been a tremendous amount of accidents at that intersection.
Yeah. So yeah, just everyone be aware because those changes are going on. I know I've sort of made a few mistakes not paying attention, so just be a little more extra careful. And again, we were sort of discussing, when people enter those crosswalks at the stop sign, they have the right of way.
And living in the city of Albuquerque, once we got around that roundabout, you should be fine with the new changes now.
We'll see. Okay. I don't see any other announcements. So I was going to go ahead and move on to our presentation. Let me be sure to get set up here. But unfortunately, domestic violence is something that we deal with a lot in our state and our city, our community. And I recently had Andrew Harmeal of the Family Advocacy Center on, as well as other domestic violence resources. So I thought naturally to have our Domestic Violence Resource Center here.
Right.
And let me just, I'll let you reintroduce yourself as I get the slides ready.
So Andrew was more of the law enforcement side. Glenn is going to be more of the advocacy for the victims.
Indeed. One moment here as I stop my share and get ready. I had too many PowerPoints open here.
This is like the fourth presentation I've given this week.
Oh, really? Well, because that's how important it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, here we go. Ay, ay, ay. There we are.
So I would assume, Glenn, you're going to be talking about what people expect if they're victims of domestic violence?
Yeah, we'll talk about some of our statistics, what we're seeing, not so much boots on the ground for you all, but
Right.
because a lot of our cases are unreported to law enforcement.
Right. It's true.
And I'll talk about some of those numbers and what my advocates are seeing.
Right.
Come on. Sorry, my computer's being a little strange for some reason. One more attempt here. I have too many windows open.
Before Glenn talks,
Yeah.
if I could just make a note for everybody, what Glenn does works real well with us, but there are certain things they will not discuss with us. So, so if you're feeling hesitant to report anything, and you don't want law enforcement involved, Glenn's, correct me if I'm wrong, Glenn, but you guys are real good about that aspects, keeping it
Completely. It's part of our credo, I guess you would say, is everything is confidential.
Yes.
Everything is free, unless that particular victim signs a ROI,
Right.
where we can share certain information with other providers.
Right.
But that's the only time, and that's based off the victim.
Okay.
So.
And don't get me wrong, he's probably, I'm assuming they still encourage reporting, but not till someone is ready to do it.
Yep.
Well, and that's sort of why I mentioned, you'll see our case there is just how to go about reporting domestic violence, because there are several options, and at the time when it occurs,
Right.
you're a person who's been traumatized, and it's just nice to know that there are some options when
Right.
it comes to dealing with the actual reporting of that crime, because if you're discouraged and you don't, we're unfortunately aware of what happens with those
Yeah, and
situations.
I don't want to take anything, because Glenn might go into more, but I just want to emphasize that, because as law enforcement, a lot of time people don't want us to get involved, but they still want the resources.
Indeed.
Which is great with the advocacy.
Well, without further ado, we'll get right into it. I got my technical problems solved there.
Perfect. So thank you again for having me. I'm a retired lieutenant with APD. I retired almost 10 years ago. I've kind of worn a lot of hats since retirement.
Yes.
And I was actually a DVRC board member for about 2 years. I volunteered my time, and the executive director position opened up with DVRC, and I told our board president, I think I have the skill set and the experience to come in and kind of lead DVRC.
Right.
And it wasn't a far stretch. I'm back at the FAC. I was at the FAC for almost 10 years. I ran sex crimes, juvenile, crisis intervention, violent crimes. So I have a lot of investigatory background. And when I came back, rebuilding those relationships with all the other providers and law enforcement was almost effortless.
Right.
Because for the most part, everybody knows me.
Yeah.
So DVRC started, Domestic Violence Resource Center. We're a nonprofit organization. We started in 1996, and we moved into the Family Advocacy Center, and I believe it was 06, 07. And that's where a victim can come for one-stop shopping. We have law enforcement there, sexual assault nurse examiner, DVRC, Rape Crisis Central New Mexico, Para los Niños, New Mexico Legal Aid, Immigration Law Services. It's just so the victim doesn't have to drive all around town, basically, to receive resources. So it's one-stop shop. So DVRC started in 1996, and it basically started as a field response. So what I mean by that is if the officers are out on a domestic violence call and the victim is not comfortable speaking with an officer, but they do want resources, they can request a field advocate to come out. So it's one of us actually responds to the field, and we're the only domestic violence resource that does that has actually a field response. Unfortunately right now, because of staffing and of course funding is the huge issue, we only operate 20 hours a day, but come this new fiscal year, we're going to move to 24/7. So we will be 24/7, kind of like how DVRC used to be back in,
Right.
way back in the day.
Right.
So we will be moving to 24/7, and then we're restructuring internally a little bit to improve services. So I'm pulling one person off nights back to day shift. I have funding to hire one more. So we'll bump up to, I want to say 14 advocates.
Okay.
And then of course there's me and then my executive assistant. So, mind if I
Yeah,
through
please.
So what we do, I just talked about field advocacy. So that means that immediate crisis intervention, that domestic violence victim needs help right now in the field. That's our field advocacy. Office advocacy just means it's a field person that stays in the office.
Yes.
So that means we'll take walk-ins. I was actually doing DART officer training yesterday, and one of the officers brought it up, well, we were told you only take walk-ins Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I said, holy cow, that makes so much sense, because we're slammed on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and because my numbers spike on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I said, no, we take walk-ins Monday through Friday.
Yes.
So I really want to put that out there. We take walk-ins Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So that's office advocacy. So when you come in, you check in the lobby. We have a kiosk where you check in. And you check like what services you need. It could be domestic violence. You may need to talk to, if you're, God forbid, you were sexually assaulted, you can talk to an advocate for sexual assault.
Right.
But either way, we get you checked in. Say you need a restraining order. We're going to help you craft that restraining order, and we also file it.
Oh, wow.
We help you file it. And then if someone needs a little bit more longer term help, say they need help with housing, and we don't provide housing, but we put you on the right track for housing applications. It could be job resumes, so we really try to help the victims a little bit longer term. So that's what our case managers do. So kind of with my restructuring, what I'm doing is I'm actually combining, so right now case management and victim advocacy is separate. I'm going to combine them now.
Okay.
So that means if you come in looking for resources, we help you with that initial resource, and then you're on a waiting list till September to get case management.
Right.
We're not doing that anymore. What we're going to do is, if you come in and you talk to me, you stay with me. So I will be your victim advocate, and I'm going to be your case manager.
Wow.
So that's kind of how we're restructuring to be a little bit more efficient, if that means.
It has to be that way now.
Counseling. A lot of our victims are, like you said earlier, you're traumatized, you're in crisis, you just need help. Back prior to COVID, we actually had our own counseling department. But when COVID hit, we lost that counseling department. We lost, I think, 2 or 3 counselors and a clinical director. They started their own business. So we lost counseling. So right now, we do have counseling. I have business agreements with 3 different providers. So if you come in, we've got you on the right track, got you in a new apartment, got the restraining order, in an ideal world.
Yeah.
Everything's on track to leave that abuser. Then say you need counseling. We're going to refer you and do a warm handoff to a counseling service.
Right.
So that person is going to get that behavioral health help. Okay. We also started a volunteer program, which is one of our, which is actually part of one of our contracts with the state. Is we have to have a volunteer program. That's up and running. So if you want to volunteer at DVRC, you just go to our website and you click the volunteer tab, and then you come in and meet with me, and I kind of do like a mini interview of why you want to be a volunteer with DVRC. And that includes everything. That's providing services, doing intakes, answering the helpline. It's pretty, the whole umbrella of advocacy our volunteers can do.
Yeah.
Another part of it is give domestic violence presentations, is what I'm doing here. And then another big part of what we do is our financial literacy, and I'll talk about that here in a minute, because 9 out of 10 of our victims that come in are financially abused. And there's many different forms of domestic abuse besides kind of the stigma or stereotype we think of, which is that physical battery and physical assault, battery. There's a lot more to domestic violence than just that.
No.
So
it's manipulation.
So our mission is, obviously, we want to empower domestic violence survivors and we engage with the community to break the cycle of domestic violence. And before we started today, we were just talking about, we don't talk about things until something bad happens, right?
Right.
I experienced it with, crisis intervention and behavioral health issues and running the CIT program. We didn't talk about behavioral health issues until, unfortunately, APD shoots and has to use lethal force against somebody with a behavioral health issue, or just any type of force, or any law enforcement agency. We don't talk about it until something bad happens. What I've noticed is we don't talk about domestic violence. You don't see billboards. You don't see anything in the community until something bad happens. Even with 19 homicides last year related to domestic violence, we're still not talking about it, right? So a lot of that, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And if I could just emphasize that, because I've been doing this for a long time. Every time we have a homicide that has to do with domestic violence, that's when they seem to address it again, which they shouldn't wait. It should be always on our minds all the time.
And
it doesn't go away. This doesn't go away.
It's always a big chunk of that annual homicide.
Yes.
Are these victims?
Yes.
I think I was up in Rio Rancho giving a presentation, and the mayor was there. And I know when we were young officers, Rio Rancho never had homicides. Never.
No.
And they
was also a little smaller.
Yeah, a little smaller. If my numbers serve me right, they had 8 homicides last year, and 5 were domestic violence related. So 3/4 of those homicides were DV.
Right.
So it's a huge. It really is a huge problem in our community, because I see the numbers every month, and that's not what they're seeing or calls for service. That's just people we see.
Wow.
So. So how do we help domestic violence victims? So we do this through prevention, intervention, and then the recovery of survivors. And then we move to being a victim to a survivor, right? Once we've broken that cycle of domestic violence with them and their abuser. The impact. So how many people do you think we see a month? Walk-ins. Walk-ins only at the FAC, just for domestic violence.
A month, probably 35 to 40.
200.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I can tell you, myself alone, because that's where we send them.
Yeah.
To start the process. Just a week is maybe 2 or 3 people we send a week to the FAC.
Yeah, and it's not. Don't feel bad, because yesterday I had another officer say 60, and I was like, 200. We see on average 200 people a month with 14 advocates that are servicing them. So we are extremely busy. Honestly, I should be running with 25 advocates, but of course it goes back to the funding issues and what I can afford as a nonprofit. And that was a big learning curve for me, coming from military and law enforcement my whole adult life, having a new car every year, computers, you name it. And then I come work for a nonprofit, and I'm like, well, what do you mean we can't afford that? So it was a definite learning curve for me.
Yeah, you got to keep the computer running.
Yeah. So like we talked about, what is domestic violence? So we have coercion, threats of physical violence. We have psychological and emotional, which we see a lot. Of course, the physical, and there a lot of times too, there is a sexual abuse or rape component with domestic violence, right? Financial is huge, and I'll talk about that. We have financial literacy programs, harassment, stalking, and then online digital abuse. So, coming from my background and then stepping in back to the FAC after, a 10-year hiatus, we had a case recently where the victim had the restraining order. She was getting DVRC services. He was served with a restraining order, but he was sending her about 150 text messages a day. One of the videos was him pointing a gun, saying, I'm gonna find you and kill you. So I said, this is we need to find this guy, right now. So having that great collaboration and working relationship, I went over to the investigative side of the house, showed him what I had, and I said, I need help. This guy's violating the restraining order. They had an arrest warrant written, and he was picked up the very next day. And that would be, in my book, a success story, because from my experience, I felt that this guy was going to kill her. So we see a lot of that, the harassment, stalking. So our field advocates, I kind of touched on it a little bit. So our field advocates, we work very, very closely with APD, BCSO, and ACS. We work very closely with them. We help APD facilitate the EROs, which is an emergency restraining order, which is good for how long? 72 hours.
An emergency, yes.
72 hours. Sorry, I keep calling you out.
I was reading
I like it.
Yeah. So we facilitate emergency restraining orders, and that, in theory, gives that victim a 72-hour window, whether it's a weekend, holiday, or something, 72-hour windows so they can get their temporary or come in and file a temporary restraining order. So we do facilitate those. Excuse me. So back when we were young officers and somebody was looking for a restraining order, we would tell them, sorry, can't help you. You need to be in imminent danger. Back in the day, you need to be in imminent danger to get a restraining order. And it was really a disservice to our victims that were, okay, well, I haven't seen him in a week, but I'm still really afraid of this person, that they're going to hurt me. So in 2023, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously that victims do not have to be in imminent danger to obtain an ERO or regular temporary restraining order. And that was a huge change, and that was just 2 years ago. They finally ruled on that. And that also includes stalking. So it was a huge win for the victims, and I think over the past several, I don't know, maybe not several decades, but 10, 15 years, they've really updated the Family Violence Protection Act to really close those gaps in service and loopholes where victims, there was loopholes where bad guys were getting away with stuff because there's loopholes in the Family Violence Protection Act, and they've done, we can still do better, but I think they've done a great job of closing some of those loopholes like this.
And are you talking the state level? Oh, so state level.
Yeah, so this is New Mexico Supreme Court. Let's see that. I talked about that. EROs, I won't bore you guys too much. It's just they're good for 72 hours. The problem we're seeing with EROs or when officers are on scene is bad guys already left. Okay, cool, I can fill out this ERO, but we still have to serve that person and then do a return of service to the courts. My advocates do serve. We don't do it without law enforcement. Obviously, my advocates are non-law enforcement. But we do help and assist serve restraining orders. My weekend advocate, he usually has a stack of restraining orders that he goes out and tries to serve on the weekends. And BCSO also takes the majority of those with their, I think it's their civil division, goes out and serves like evictions, restraining orders, stuff like that. Let's see, IRFPO, I don't know, I know they were getting training on it. This is not something we generally utilize, but this is a tool, which is the extreme red flag law.
Red flag law,
the red flag law.
The extreme risk firearms protection orders.
Which our detectives and specialized units are getting really well at issuing those.
Yep, and I just notarized, one of the CIT detectives was looking for a notary last week. He's like, it was an IRFPO. He had to get notarized. I was like, well, I'm a notary. So I notarized it for him.
And you were mentioning the units, the CIT unit.
There's the CIT, there's also gun violence, GVR, there you go. I'm sorry, just because we've had, anyway. Those are all the detectives like that can utilize them for the reasons they're meant for. Because it's meant for a lot of things, not just for domestic violence also. It's meant for a lot of things. It's protection of people. So that's why so many detectives are getting real well at knowing those and filing those.
And if I would have known a little bit better that particular case, and I'm not sure if they did do one on that guy, the one that we got the arrest, or APD got the arrest warrant for, but that would be a prime example. Here's your arrest warrant, now you're served with an IRFPO, and I'm confiscating your weapons for right now. And it's good for 1 year.
Okay.
All right. So our office advocates, I kind of talked about it already. If you're just a walk-in, my day advocates we have a 20-hour a day helpline, which goes to about 3 in the morning, and then we come in at 8. So if the help, and rarely, I'll knock on wood, rarely do we get calls that late on the helpline, but if we did, we'd call them back first thing in the morning. But with our new restructuring, that helpline is going to be monitored 24/7. Yep. So we want to help you navigate. We see a lot of divorces. They're looking for help with paperwork for divorces. We might refer them to New Mexico Legal Aid, which is just right around the corner from our office, and I mean in the hallway. So we might do a referral that way.
Which is good, because that was one of the things that people were hesitant to report domestic violence because they're still married, they still have kids. And now with them helping them with that,
Yeah.
it's not, they don't come overwhelmed with not only the domestic violence, but also the fact that they have to go through the process of divorce.
Yeah.
And paperwork for the children, visitation and stuff like that.
So, and we saw that yesterday. So I posed a question to the DART officer class yesterday. I said, well, how many in here have been to the same house more than once
Right.
for DVs or domestic violence calls?
Mhm.
Almost everybody raised their hand. And I said, well, think about it this way, and it goes back to being empathetic to that victim, is statistically most DV victims reach out for help 7 to 8 times before they actually decide to leave their abuser.
Right.
And then that's what we have found is the most dangerous time is when they actually finally decide to leave that abuser.
Right. It's a control thing. And
Yeah.
That's
Again, we accept walk-ins, we schedule clients, and then we make internal case management referrals, but now that's going to be combined now. So you stay with the same advocate for everything. We do intakes, we do lethality screenings. The biggest thing is we want to do a safety plan with those survivors or those victims that come in. Okay, are you safe right now? If they don't feel safe, then maybe we'll get them into a DV shelter. We'll help them get that restraining order. And we kind of guide them through a safety plan for them. A lot of times our offenders take their phones, take their purses. They come to us with just what they're wearing on their back. So we have a food pantry, we've
Right.
got clothes. I'll give you a prepaid cell phone that's good for 1 year. And all this is done through grants and donations, how we can provide for these victims. And also it goes from some of our recurring funding that we get through the federal government, the city, CYFD,
right.
CVRC, Crime Victims Reparation Commission. So we do have a lot of funding sources, but last year, the last 2 fiscal years, our federal funding was cut 50%. So we really, and the state was awesome, and the state came in and said, okay, we'll make up that 50%. So.
And if you don't have an advocate, don't worry. Law enforcement will make sure you get those. Like, for example, if you need a shelter, so on and so forth. We will make sure, no matter what, we will make sure that that is given an option to you.
So going back to the financial literacy, so a lot of people, when we talk to our victims, a lot of them will say, I can't afford to leave. I can't.
That's the main,
kids.
that is the main.
Pay for the house.
The
bills.
abuser may be the breadwinner. The house is in their name. The vehicles are in their name.
Right.
So we saw a need for that, and a lot of our community partners have seen a need for that financial literacy and that financial education. Some of our clients don't even know how to run a bank account or write a check.
Write a check, yeah.
So what we did is we created a financial literacy program. We call it IDA, Individual Development Account. And if you're one of our clients, you're going to work with us for about 6 months to a year. And if you save $1,000, we're going to give you $4,000. So a total of $5,000 that you can use for very restricted things like getting a car.
Yeah, new apartment.
Starting your own business, like a food truck or something,
Yeah.
to get you financially independent from your abuser. So it's a great program. We actually just launched it.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Long-term support, I kind of already went over that. Counseling, we work with everybody. There's also the Domestic Violence Sexual Assault Commission that the city runs. I'm trying to think. We work with everybody.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Rape Crisis Central New Mexico.
Yep.
That's why I was remembering for Israel from there had presented.
Okay, yeah, Rape Crisis Central New Mexico, Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners, and all of us, we're all at the FAC. So again, it's one-stop shopping. Excuse me. Let's see, food, diapers, clothing, hygiene items, emergency prepaid cell phones. And also, if you came in with no clothes, obviously we have a clothes closet. It's not the greatest stuff, but it's just something to get you by.
Right.
A couple years ago, and then we would give you like whitey tighties. It was horrible. It was like prison undergarments. Well, Victoria's Secret donated $250,000 worth of items to the FAC, or to SANE. And so now we can actually give some of our clients like nice stuff.
Yeah.
It was just it's very generous from Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
That's about it for me. I know that was kind of drinking through a fire hose. Going back to the gentleman's question,
Michael's question about
the
one night stand or husband and wife. So the way the Family Violence Protection Act is written, it's intimate partner violence. So boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, doesn't matter.
Right.
Now, I think a one night stand, and again, I'm not an attorney, but a one night stand may not be so much intimate partner. It's more, might be the officer's discretion to be like, is this a battery or is it domestic violence?
So that because every situation is different.
Mm-hmm. That's what
we
I was
would have to
thinking.
know as a law enforcement officer more information about the situation. Like, for example, if it's somebody that they just met overnight and it happened like that, and then the next morning they're not getting, the people aren't getting along and one hits the other. I mean, you can say that that is an intimate relationship, but you have other situations where I don't know. You just have to know all the details. It's hard to categorize everything because not everything is the same.
So it's not necessarily just that intimacy has occurred or that person is in their habitation.
There's other things, like, for example,
are you in a relationship with him? Well, no,
right.
But he choked and hit me.
Unfortunately, sometimes there are those business transactions that are not legal that people do. And that's not really an intimate, that's more of a business transaction, which is illegal to begin with. So that's, as a law enforcement officer, you got to get all the facts of the case before you can make a judgment on what charge you would have to have with it. So, I mean, if I was responding, I'd have to get all that information.
And even if it wasn't, so even if that victim under that hypothetical situation came into DVRC, we're going to help them, you know, whether it could be, now, if it wasn't DV related, then a lot of times we're not going to really facilitate that restraining order. We're going to guide them to getting their own civil restraining order instead of, because it's not DV related, if that makes sense.
Right, and like I said, there are so many particulars that are unknown right now. For example, one party says hi to another one. Next thing you know, that other party thinks they're in a relationship, which has come up. And wanted to fall within the Family Protection Act, which it does not. I mean, just because they think they're in a relationship doesn't mean they had an intimate. That's the intimate portion of the relationship.
And then again, just even with the violence, if it's domestic violence or you know, just someone you met, that factor of proof sort of changes as well, being able to know that, having the proof that some violence occurred.
It's not so much proof, but just the questions an officer asks to find out more information about.
And I mean, and it was a great question. I mean, a one night stand, but say I'm only dating them a week. Nope, that's domestic violence. You are in a relationship with that person for a week, 2 days. Now, again, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to get in the weeds, Michael, but I hope I answered that for you.
And I was. You had mentioned restraining orders too. I was just sort of curious. I don't know if you have this. How often are they violated? How often?
All the time. All the time. But again, it's a lot of times they'll violate and then the victim doesn't report. So, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if things have changed since I left, but it can move to felony stalking if there are violations, but they have to be convicted of those violations.
See, when I read the statute the last time, it didn't say about, it just said that they had to have a restraining order.
Yeah, I'll have to look again.
I have to look again too, but I think it just said that if they have a restraining order and they violate the restraining order,
that's aggravated stalking.
Aggravated stalking.
Yeah, and I'll have to look at it again, but yeah, they're violated all the time, and a lot of times the victims don't report the violations. And it's awesome when they do, and then they get law enforcement involved. Now it's documented and documented. And then hypothetically, like with that one case, you could get an arrest warrant for aggravated assault, aggravated stalking.
And this is sort of an odd question too. It's clear that the victims need, you know, this support and counseling. Is there anything out there to try to correct the people who are the perpetrators of some of this stuff?
So when I take a domestic violence, so you're dealing with somebody that is put in a situation where they're victimized, right? But they're considering a lot of other things. They don't want to get the person in trouble.
Yeah.
But they don't want this to happen anymore. So there are things in place with the courts where
Anger
anger management, other options, and I explained that to the people that are calling.
Yeah.
Said this is not a punishment.
Yeah.
This is more addressing the issue because the person is not realizing. So sometimes it takes our intervention for them to realize that there's a problem there.
Yeah.
And hopefully it gets addressed through the court system.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, unfortunately, everybody emphasizes the fact that we arrest people as a punishment. Our job is that's not our main goal.
You're not, yeah,
We're trying to correct the action that happened.
Yeah.
And the state also has what they call, and this was my recommendation, actually I was in a meeting this week, was the state actually has a program called BIP. It's Batterers Intervention Program.
Right.
And it's designed for a lot of our people that have, issues with anger and they batter their partners or whatever. They actually wanted DVRC to kind of run with it, and I was like, no.
That's mixing
number one,
oil and
yeah. I said I don't have the capacity to run it, and then we don't take offenders.
Yeah.
We don't deal with offenders at the FAC. It's strictly
which is
victim
understandable.
centered. Yeah.
You have to keep it safe there.
Yeah, but that would be maybe if the state could integrate that BIP program into the
Right.
courts.
And the courts already do have it because they do sometimes mandate anger management. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's something. It's something.
I think this one's the BIP program's a little bit more intense.
detailed.
Yeah.
And even Adriana had mentioned most take into account the victim's perception of the relationship. So that's sort of falling into what I was just asking about that other side too, and trying to make
Right.
the correction there.
Right. So when you get a restraining order, EROs, temporary, then you have the temporary restraining. Well, the ERO is like temporary, but you also have the temporary restraining order, which they have to go to court, and then you have the final restraining order. If you understand what I'm saying, isn't that the way it goes? The ERO is can be like you said, 72 hours.
Yeah. So the ERO is 72 hours.
The temporary restraining order.
The TRO, you come in, file it, then you have 14 days till the hearing.
Till a hearing is set.
And then, and then during that 14 days, that person has to be served.
Right.
Okay.
If they haven't been served before.
Right.
And then you actually have with a hearing officer or a judge, you have that hearing after that 14 days, and then they either grant it or dismiss it.
Okay.
And the only reason why I bring it up is because people get so confused by the different aspects of a restraining order.
An emergency is related to just a regular
emergency is like right now, 72 hours.
Yeah.
Then the TRO is the one where they have to go to a court and get a hearing, and then the final restraining order, they grant it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the EROs, we have there used to be only like 2 or 3 judges on call for family court,
Right.
Civil, and now I think they bumped it up to almost all the judges now are on call. So if they're calling at 3 a.m. to get a emergency restraining order,
Right.
a judge is going to answer, and they approve it telephonically.
Oh,
Yep.
okay, that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Ms. Helms had followed up. She had just mentioned if people were meeting online in a dating app, and an incident occurs, that is considered DV.
Oh, that's a good question.
If
I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's different
if
on
it's a
campus.
digital-
I don't know.
So I guess if you, again, I think it's the perception, right? So if you're online, I don't even think the statutes are updated to that.
So it says intimate relationship. So that can, I mean, it's hard.
So if you met on a dating app and under VAWA, Violence Against Women's Act. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's just another new thing that we have to deal with in our society with these.
New
I mean, the
technology.
apps being a a sort of hotbed of people who are looking to manipulate.
But granted, so don't get discouraged with law enforcement if they can't really give you an answer, but they will find out. Because we do have a lot of resources, on-call DAs that we can consult with, give the details of the call, and they can point us in the direction what we need to go. So like I said, don't get discouraged.
Well, I mean, and that's just sort of it. The expansion of what you're doing is because, there's such an epidemic need for it that the cases sort of outweigh the resources, but definitely the efforts are being made to create some more of those avenues.
And that is true, but still, as a law enforcement officer, my main concern is the safety of that person. I'm going to do what I can to make that person feel as safe as possible that he can, whether it be a shelter or whether it be an ERO.
Yeah. And I can tell you too, from my experience, and I'm guilty of it, is, back when I was a young officer in the 90s, we weren't really victim-centered.
Right.
And then that pendulum has really shifted over the years to have officers be, through great training, a lot more empathetic. Yes, we still have to take bad guy to jail, but I also need to make sure that victim is okay.
The follow-up, a lot of the follow-up was a little...
Yeah. And so the way I was trained and what we used to do is like, okay, you're in custody. Do you need anything else? Here's your restraining order packet. Boom. And I'm gone. And now, again, now it's that pendulum has really shifted to where we're a lot more victim-centered. We still have a job to do and take bad guy to jail, but we also have to take care of that victim.
Yeah.
Which is the same for anything that we deal with, anything.
Yeah.
Seems like anything nowadays, we're more focused on the follow-up also.
Yep.
To assist.
And APD has a victim assistance unit, victim advocacy unit, VAU, to where they don't respond to the field or they don't do any really I want to say they don't, but the advocacy is they review every single domestic violence report that comes in, and they'll call that victim back and make sure they got all the resources they needed. Do they need anything else? They help them with CVRC applications for, say, damaged property that occurred during the domestic violence. So that follow-up is, and I think they told me they make contact with about 60 to 70% of
your cases,
of the cases that they see come across their desk.
Right. Wow. Do you guys work hand in hand with the DA's victims advocates?
I've met with them, and I've given presentations to them, so they know we exist and we know they exist.
Right, which is another resource for people that are victims of domestic violence.
And I wanted to ask the Jens, Jenny and Jen there at ACS. Are you guys still available? Hey, there we go. I think they're coming on. There we go. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No.
I pulled away for a bit and Jen had to leave.
Oh, okay. Well, because I had mentioned though you guys working close with ACS now, and I just wondered. Again, I know sometimes I think I've mentioned this with you before. Sometimes you're at a call with ACS and you sort of realize domestic violence has occurred or something like that, and I know you guys have to sort of reach out for support with that. What's your experience sort of dealing with those kind of situations and looking for resources?
So we utilize, it kind of depends on the situation and what's going on. If it happens that we are contacted by APD on a call for our behavioral health responders in response to providing assistance to a domestic violence victim or the parties involved, we will kind of see what the immediate need is and which member of our team is kind of best to refer to. We do utilize our CORA team, our community-oriented response and assistance team, to assist with that if it's something that it qualifies for, and then we get that team involved and kind of go from there and hand it to their team to handle from then on, to take them on over their case. If it's something that's like immediate need, they need to get to shelter, or if it's more they're trying to get back home to somewhere and they kind of ended up here, whatever the situation is, we do try to assess as well and kind of connect them to our community partners, but we do rely on our community oriented response and assistance team.
Okay, and is this also a large portion of what you deal with? I mean, I know you guys deal with a lot, but I was just curious as to, is this something that you're having to hand off a fair amount?
I don't actually I can't really answer that to the list because I don't have the numbers on those ones or on what that looks like on my end.
But you guys can assist with case management as far as domestic violence?
Yes, we will look at it and kind of see what's going on with it. I know that your team works heavily a lot with our team downtown.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
AB and Ernest. So,
yes, I do.
They'll kind of contact us as well and kind of let us know what's going on with the situation. If it's something we can handle then and there with an immediate need, we'll assist with that. However, it's something that's turning into more of a bigger situation where it's domestic violence, aggravated assault, sexual assault, we will include our community-oriented and response assistance team, which is our CORA team. We do their on-call number and call them and let them know the situation, and then they will arrange to meet the team with the victim wherever they're at.
Thanks.
So a case specific with AB and Ernest, we had a person that was unhoused, going through a lot of stuff with the stress of unhoused, but she was also going through domestic violence at the same time. So Ernest and AB were able to get a team together to assist not only with the unhoused portion, but also the domestic violence portion.
Yeah, so that's good to know. And you had mentioned, your volunteers, and do any of the people that have gone through your program, like, do you have peer-to-peer, people with life experience that sort of help
Oh,
with
I
some
got
of
you.
that? Yeah.
Actually, most of my advocates are survivors themselves.
That's what I
I had one very, very nice lady came in. She wanted to volunteer, but she immediately broke down crying, and she was still very traumatized. And I said, well, let's pump the brakes. Maybe volunteering, because that trauma is still real with her.
Right.
I said, I would love to have you as a volunteer, but I don't think you're ready yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of our volunteers and our staff have lived experience.
Oh, okay, that's good to hear.
Now, I'm assuming your volunteers are vetted pretty well also.
We do background checks through CYFD, kind of like me. I had to get a background check to work at the FAC, so yeah, we do background checks, and they are vetted.
Oh, and Adriana had mentioned they also have advocates on campus as well. And yeah, I was going to open it up to UNM and Rodney as well, just what kind of efforts you guys have on campus to sort of help with these issues as well. You can just, there you go.
Hi, everybody. This is such a great presentation. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize we've got fantastic advocates that serve students and employees on UNM's campus. And I believe they work closely with DVRC and SANE and some other resources around town. But I did put in the chat a guide that actually walks students and employees who report being a victim of DVSAS to
I see it there, yeah.
For students and victims who report being a victim, relating to not just reporting to law enforcement and getting a restraining order, but getting a no contact directive, which is an administrative restraining order, so to speak, that's issued through the Dean of Students office here. And it lists a million resources throughout the state. It's actually used by all of our branch campuses as well. So it's got SANEs throughout the state, and a ton of, just resources on and off campus. It's got information about getting immediate assistance, medical assistance, preserving evidence, and then it actually walks folks through our administrative grievance process, which we handle in the Office of Compliance, Ethics, and Equal Opportunity. So if there's a student or actually if anybody reports being a victim of any of the crimes that we've been talking about, they have a right to supportive measures, protective measures through the university, and the right to have their case investigated if it meets a certain threshold of our jurisdiction, et cetera. So that's a lot.
Well, no, thank you. And I was telling him that we'll probably revisit this with our Nob Hill University Echo, and we'll probably address some of this stuff again and see what else you guys have on campus there. But thank you.
Yeah.
And we're sort of coming to the end, but did you have something to say?
Just real quick, I mean, Glenn and the FAC, they're real good about, they do process domestic violence as far as looking for evidence, which is real good which is real good. We do have people that are field investigators that do it, but they also do it at the FAC where they can.
Yes, that. So if you come in, if it's not SA related, sexual assault related, but we work very closely with SANE because they've got all the equipment, the nice cameras. And if you have any types of injuries, we will document all those injuries, or SANE does, and then we work hand in hand with SANE.
Yeah, and just because somebody goes there for one of those exams, because sometimes they're still hesitant to report it, and they deal with them when they're ready, they'll be ready to call law enforcement.
Well, and that goes to sort of wrap it up here, or address the question on our case there was, what are really the best ways of going about reporting domestic violence? I mean, that's sort of, I brought it up because we see it at the sub sometimes. What?
I mean, there's so many broad answers for that. It's because depends on the individual's comfort level.
Right.
Okay. Because like I said, they're dealing with a lot at the time. Sometimes they just want somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll go to some of the FAC just to talk.
Or call our helpline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'll do that, and then they work with them, and it just depends on the comfort level of the individual.
Yeah.
So when they feel comfortable to report it to law enforcement, without any prodding from the people that work at the FAC, when they feel comfortable reporting to us, we're ready to.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that came up because I had mentioned, sometimes people will end up at the sub or someplace like that when they're in trauma trying to report, and it just sort of seems the DVRC or the FAC would be a more preferential.
It just
we'll respond, or ACS.
Right. It just depends on where they want. If they want to report the actual crime, obviously we will be as law enforcement there, and we'll reach out to them to get an advocate to help us.
Help after
the resources.
But if they're just, because a lot of people come just for direction.
Yeah.
Direction. So we could just tell them to go to the FAC, where they can start. It's like a starting point.
Yeah.
And then when they feel comfortable, they'll call us and we'll go take the report.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, that's it. They have to feel comfortable where they're at. Even
yes, exactly.
Go farther, and there's so many levels, like
right. Yeah.
with the
I mean,
divorce.
because anytime you try to force somebody to do something, it's just going to make it worse and hard for them to report it the next time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've come to the end. Oh, wait, we have another question here. Kelly, yeah.
Well, Jerry, before you left,
Yeah.
your question. He helps to the CPC meetings. He wanted to know what percentage of the 200 people are male?
Great question. So I've actually seen an uptick in men since about March. We had, it's not that many, but it's going up. So in March, I think we had 9, April 12, May 15, and I think we're sitting at about 19 men we've helped for June.
Wow.
So you got to understand, unfortunately, there's this stigmatism that males can't be victims, right? Which we have to overcome. That's why we educate not just females but males about domestic violence, because they can still be a victim. And even when we go there, they think that a law enforcement officer is just going to arrest them, right? Even though they're the victims of the crime. But so that's what you try to overcome, and they feel comfortable. Like I talked about the comfort level, so they can be comfortable reporting this and be a victim.
And I think too, my hope is that all these presentations that I've given in the last year and a half has really, hopefully, spawned a lot of more community education that anybody can be a victim, male, female, doesn't matter.
Right.
But yeah, so the hard answer is I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, we have seen an uptick in men, but primarily women. I'd say 95% primarily women.
Yeah. Okay.
When we respond to a call, we're not trying to label anybody as a victim or offender. We just get the facts of the case and the evidence, and we try to make a decision. But a lot of men will say, I don't call because you're just going to believe her and take me to jail. And
For you, it was also, if you're a police officer, you show up and it's a 200-pound guy and a 90-pound, oh, she's abusing you, huh? Okay.
Well, and unfortunately, it does happen with law enforcement officers too. Well, they're the worst to report anything because we're supposed to be in control, and we're supposed to, this is not supposed to happen to us. We're the ones you call when this happens.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Even with my role play experience, we would do the scenarios to give that impression, to alternate who's the offender, and a lot of those biases come if you're intoxicated and that kind of stuff. Then it's hard to sort of determine really what's going on.
There's so many factors why people don't want to call the police, and like you said, sometimes people are impaired when they call, or they hesitate because they're impaired, and they're going to think the law enforcement officer's going to think because I'm impaired, I was the one that was in the wrong, which is not true.
Yeah,
which is not true.
Well, cool. Thank you, Glenn. That was a great presentation.
having both of you guys here was good as well. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot he was here.
He did pipe in a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. Have you gone on any domestic violence?
Oh yeah. So before I was here downtown, I was in the Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
I was at least taking 5 to 6 a week.
Wow.
I believe
And
that.
that was working 3 days on, 4 days off, 4 days on, 3 days off. Got a lot of them are just arguments that one person believes to be a domestic violence dispute that the other one doesn't believe. That was my experience with them. But then out of the 5 that I had a week, 2 of them were honest.
Serious.
Yeah, serious.
Like not just a dispute, it was,
yeah,
it was domestic
it was
violence.
a real thing. There was a couple that I went on to where the female's too afraid to say anything. Right, we have them separated. We have her outside the house, and she's just too afraid to say anything.
Yeah.
Because she knows eventually, even if he leaves, that he's gonna be back.
Yeah.
Right. So, even if he gets arrested, eventually he's gonna get out. So she was scared to that point, where my training officer that I was with at the time was able to get an advocate out there and talk to her and get her all the resources that she needed.
Yeah.
And then another time, this was also in the Southwest. It was the other way around, right? Like the male had called us once again, and he was saying like, the mother of his child was saying that he was doing this, that, and all these things, and went to his house and beat him pretty good. And he kind of carried that stigma as a man. So he didn't call and report it, his neighbor did.
Oh, wow.
So when we showed up, we got there, his eyebrow was split, his lip was split, cut under his eye, and he's just like, no, I don't.
Which goes to show what the question you asked.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, and kind of like what you said, like he was wasn't any smaller than me.
Yeah.
Right, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Like he's not a small guy. Granted, I didn't see the mother of his child, but from the stuff that I was able to recover, she's not very big. She's about 4'8", 120 pounds soaking wet, and so at that point, like we just had to summons her. But it goes to show, like it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when you have that financial factor and the other stuff, it can
There-
change
yeah.
everything. But yeah, obviously this is a larger issue than we
Right.
can even wrap our heads around today. But
No,
definitely,
but-
I thank Glenn for bringing the information
Yes.
to us to help
Thanks,
us.
Glenn.
My pleasure.
And everybody who joined us, and
Thank
the
you.
people who joined us on the call. I believe next month, my presentation should be on July 10th with the Real-Time Crime Center. Until then, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you at the next one.
See you guys.
Thank you for joining us. We welcome your suggestions regarding any scenario involving future public safety echo sessions. For more information, visit www.cabq.gov/echo.